Hello everyone, my name is Dee and welcome to Books and Quirks. Today is Friday, so it's time for another Friday Reads. And I had a great week. I actually had a few days off, so I did a lot of reading this past week. So let me just get right into it. So the first book that I finished this week was Salem's Lot, and I had said last week that it was a reread for me. I read it when I was a teenager, and boy did it hold up. The first 100 pages was the only problem that I had with it, because the first 100 pages, nothing was really happening. This was Stephen King's very early book. It was published, I think, in like the mid-70s. So it was very just descriptive. It was only his second novel published. I actually Googled it to see, because somebody had told me it was his first, but it was actually his second. And it was very descriptive. That's all I can say. It was descriptive. It just went on and on for chapters describing the town, describing the history of the town, describing everybody in the town. But then once the plot got going, because it was about 500 pages total, it really was quite creepy and quite scary. It's a vampire novel, and yeah, I think that if you want to be scared, if you want to be creeped out, I don't think it's like really, really scary, but there were parts of it where I was like, oh. So, definitely not the type of read that you want to read right before going to sleep, but still enjoyable because it was something that I wanted to read. I really only like these sorts of things in the month of October, so it was really a good thing. And it was the book that Spooktober chose for the month of October. Even though I didn't really get to participate in a whole bunch of stuff, I at least got to read the book, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. The next book that I finished this week was Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker, and this is a mystery. This follows really two young girls, 17 years old, and a detective. What happens is two young girls go missing when they're about 15, and 3 years later, one of the girls returns, and the whole story is kind of like unraveling the mystery of what happened to the other sister. And it also follows the perspective of the detective who is trying to piece everything together. I thought it was okay. I didn't think this was a really wow novel, and I actually predicted a couple of things. I'm doing well with that this year, I think. I'm usually not good at predicting things or foreseeing what's going to happen or guessing the right thing. But I did guess in this one. And, I thought it was okay. I thought it was just an okay book, and I gave it 3 stars. I also finished The Shadow of What Was Lost last weekend. I had said that, I was going to be finishing it that Friday, and I did. I read it with a group of people. I'll link their channels below. Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures, Cheryl from CR Flames Fan, and Candace from Beacon Hill Books, and it was just so great. Such a good fantasy, and I definitely want to do kind of a separate review on that, so I'm not going to focus on that right now. But all I'll say is I gave it 4 stars and loved it, and want to go on with the second book as soon as possible. And the last book that I finished this past week, I should say, was The Ice Princess. I can't recall the author at the moment. I don't have the book on me. But The Ice Princess was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's a mystery. Somebody in the town gets murdered, and it follows this character, Erica, I think is her name, who is tasked with sort of writing about the person that was murdered, which was her friend. And in doing that, she sort of uncovers some things and finds out what happened to her friend and how was she murdered, because it was a homicide. I had a few problems with this book. I thought it was quite chauvinistic, mainly on the men's part, but also on the women's part. Usually that kind of stuff, if it's just a little here and there in the book, it doesn't bother me, but it seemed to be everywhere constantly in the book. And I also thought they were kind of caricatures of, people rather than real people. I really thought I was going to enjoy it. Halfway through the book, I was like, okay, despite the chauvinism, I am interested in the mystery. But by the end of the book, there was no character development. There was nothing really to keep me holding on. And by the end, I just was like, no, I just did not enjoy the book. So that was the last book that I finished this week. Okay, on to the books that I'll be reading this weekend. So the first book that I've already started, and I'm a little over 100 pages in, is Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin. I saw this book, well, okay, so I've been watching Candace from Beacon Hill Books for a long time. You should really subscribe to her if you're not. She's wonderful, and she loves Abraham Lincoln and really inspired me to want to pick something up because I realized, in listening to her that I don't know a whole lot about him. I know about the Civil War. I know about the Gettysburg Address, the Emancipation Proclamation. I know about his assassination, but I don't know a whole lot other than that. And even those kinds of details I forgot a lot. So this is a biography of Abraham Lincoln, but it mainly focuses on his presidency from his candidacy in 1860 to the time that he was assassinated in 1865. So yeah, I actually am really enjoying this. This is not dry at all. I'm really loving the way it's told because you get to see a glimpse into every other candidate during that time or every other major political figure during that time and how Abraham Lincoln sort of fit into that. So right now I'm a little over 100 pages in. I'm still kind of learning about some of the other political figures and they're really quite fascinating. Bates, for example. And it also has some pictures in here, so I really am loving this so far. And like I said, I'm 114 pages in and I can't wait to get more into this. This is going to take me a few weeks to read. I doubt that I'll finish it by next week. I have other things going on, so I definitely will be continuing on and just give you an update each week of where I'm at. The next book that I'll be starting actually on Sunday, and it's another buddy read, and it is The Lies of Loch Lamora by, I'll put a picture because I don't recall the author at the moment, but I really should have written it down before I sat down to film. But it is a fantasy. I'm sure you've heard of it. A lot of people have already read it. I have not, so I'm really thankful that I get to read it with 3 lovely booktubers, and I will link their channels below. And yeah, I cannot wait to get started. And the only other book that I want to get to this week, or at least start it, is The Darkest Magic by Morgan Rhodes. This was the last book that I had on my October TBR that I really didn't get to. And I really do want to start this because I loved the first book in the series. This is a YA fantasy series. And yeah, so I do want to get to this one as well if I have a chance this week. So that is all I have for you. That is my Friday reads, everything that I read during the week and everything that I will be reading starting tonight and into the weekend and into the week. So I hope you all are having a good Friday. I hope you all have good plans for the weekend, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.